Good morning. This is Rajsekar Polaprakada. Uh, Nowadays, it's very difficult for youngsters to read the books. So, my daughter told me that audibles are better. But then in the audibles, we don't see the expression of the, the author. So, I thought, let me try some few video clips on these chapters. Let me first start with my book, Successful Management Styles of India. It is, why did I write the book? About a decade before, I was working on a mega project in India, which is about $2 billion. It's about expansion of refinery crude processing facilities for a family-owned private company. So during that time, I was reporting to an American whose name I didn't disclose in book, but I would take his first name, Gordon. So Gordon and myself, we used to daily sit in the guest house for breakfast and then discuss about the progress of the project. Of course, he was the project director and I was the head of the process. So obviously, we have so many things to resolve and then probably share. And through him, I came to know the management of Indian mega companies, like how do they get the licenses and how do they manage the government officials and environment groups and other things. Without going into the details of those practices, I would only talk about the four management principles of transparency, succession plans, and environment. So, the around how the situation leadership is maintained, basically empowerment, delegation, and that kind of general management principles. And finally, the compliance of rules, like how they are complying to the government regulations and how they are trustworthy for the shareholders, employees, government, public at large. So while we're discussing, Gordon used to invariably come to a phrase called Indian management. So I used to, resist. I used to say, there is nothing like Indian management as I know. Yes, there are some Western management principles, and then some of these our Indian business leaders might have studied there. When they come back to India, they probably did not find the Indian environment suitable to apply those principles. So maybe they must have changed a lot. But at the same time, whether you go to Delhi, whether you go to Bombay or Chennai, all the places, there's nothing like a specific Indian management which I could see. Same way, if you go to Japan, Russia, or in Europe, the management principles are same. Like it's like a science. Okay, the little bit of economics, maybe capitalism and socialism, they may vary, but not the management. How do you administer, control, monitor, audit, these kind of things. So I did a stint of management in the famous Jamanlal Bajaj Institute. So I thought I'll apply that. And then, of course, my technical qualification is the one which got me a job in this mega project. So I didn't go much of this, details into the technicals, except one or two places where I tried to explain how technical people are not given high priority in India. Finance, the record books, accounts, even licenses in the permit lodge. These are the things which really played a major role. So coming back to my discussions with Gordon, I used to explain him several things. Like in the first chapter, he wanted to know why he was not given empowerment to do the job. So we discussed from there. We went to around how the Indian legends, like the past leaders, have performed, or how they operated the leadership style. Then slowly we went into the our traditional Indian methods of management, like temple management, uh, wedding management, or I would say even festivals like Ganesh festival and Kumbh Mela and how they're done. That covers the second chapter. And the third chapter, we talked about some of the applications of these management techniques in India, which did not yield good results, like for traffic management. Still, it's an enigma for the government as well as public, in spite of so many measures. Then, very famous or infamous time management, which brought a title for many Indians as Indian punctuality. The next chapters deal with the four principles which I talked about: the transparency, empowerment, succession plan, and compliance. Then a couple of chapters where I had experience in an American company, which is turned into an Indian company, and followed by the street smart techniques of many of these Indian managers who had to adapt to uh, the license and permit Raj before 1991. Then that followed by my the present project, mega project, which actually is the trigger point for this writing this book. Then what Indians can do well and what you have to do well, and it's like the Lee Iacocca's book. I thought India can be the best, or at least I got a potential to do best. And then while trying to uh, complete or close the book, then I realized that this is not a one volume. It probably spills into two more volumes. So in the second volume, we'll cover some of those giants like Tata's, TVS, and even ISRO, who has done extremely well, and L&T, now they're already in the Middle East in a big way. So some of the private companies, some of the public limited companies, some of them are government things. There are several successful players in India, like Infosys and IT companies. They have started listing in New York Stock Exchange. Uh, so what I wanted to say is that the volume 2 covers these principles, how they implemented, and then they are successful. And volume 3, we wait for it, and then it is going to be a solution for the world problems, like, for example, the consumerism, capitalism, even communism. All of them at one stage or other showed their weaknesses, and some of them failed. So now world is more and more looking at sustainability, recycling, reuse, environmental, what do you call us, uh, controls. Now you see the latest COVID-19 has shown us that the less use of fossil fuels, how it will reverse the global warming. So basically, the volume 3 talks about the egalitarian society, sustainability, and beyond. It would avoid our humanity escaping to Mars or some other planet to survive. So these are the 3 volumes, and the volume 1 is what is different now. Uh, for the Westerner, what in India we see the management different. For an Indian youngster who just passes out from the college or the business management schools, what is written in the books, and how it is different in the real practicality. And the practicing managers, they want to see how some are street smart and some are not. Some of the honest people, in fact, including our generation people, who think that the the world is black and white, but actually there are several shades of it. So how they survived. Though I've not gone into the biggest problem of India, that was the corruption and the politics. I leave it to the public to work on it. But I would say that in spite of it, India has progressed. Now we are the sixth largest economy. Uh, when Nehru started our economy, it was a mixed economy. Like he had socialistic leaning, and then industrialization and self-sufficiency were main planks for Indira Gandhi, and globalization is the plank of P.V. Narasimha Rao, ably assisted by Manmohan Singh. Now, Atmanirbharta, that is self-sufficiency, is professed by Modi, or I would say that it is being forced on India because of this situation. And go ahead and read my book, Successful Management Styles of India. It is on Notion Press, Amazon, and Flipkart. In case if anybody wants to read the book, I can provide them. And you probably see my dress. I have not worn the suit, so this is one deliberate action, because I want Indians to be traditional and then see what is good in Indian traditions, and doesn't they need not have to limit their knowledge to the Indian traditions. They can adopt the best in the world, like as Rigveda said. But the temple management, which has survived for thousands of years and which is one of the main attractions for Muslim invasion, is still running well. And in fact, there are two things which really survived our COVID 19 economic onslaught. One is agriculture and villages. The other one is our religious places. So what I was thinking is that take the best of our Indian tradition and then make a niche for successful management styles of India. And thank you very much for listening to me. I hope this will be a good introduction for my book, Successful Management Styles of India. This is a summary of about, say, my 4 decades of experience, out of which 2 decades outside India and in multinational companies, and about 2 decades in India. One is in a public sector and another is in a private sector. I hope more books on this Indian management style would come, and there will be some study centers in IIMs and other management institutions about this temple management and Indian management style. And then even I would say find a solution for this traffic management and some of those organized things, coordinations. And then even I would say ours is a loud democracy, and we are not able to manage the different views without getting into the conflicts. So we have to learn how to respect others' opinions and get benefit by it. Wisdom is listening to others' wisdom. So thank you very much. This is Rajsekhar Polapragada, and I would welcome your comments on the book, and thank you very much.